Well, hi there, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Job. Beyond the Job. See, live. There's no wrong. Sherry, where are we?
Welcome to Beyond the Briefcase. You are here because you have the interest, etc., to look at what life is going to be like or what life could have been like had you have looked at things instead of just the job. You know, we women are getting just like men. We tend to look at ourselves as to what our title is, and that needs to change. We want to listen to these group of fabulous women that we've got here today because we are anxious to hear what life is like, so that we have that balance, which does not exist, I know, but we want to make sure that life is what we want to make it as opposed to what other people want to make it for us. So welcome. You will be with us for the next 45 minutes in that vicinity. Barbara, tell us all about you and why you are here.
Okay. Well, yeah, you see, I do this myself for my own things, and it's like this. Sorry, but anyways, yeah, I'm Barbara Ellison. I am founder of Total Wellness Playroom for the best version of your life, and I love the fact that we can all come together. Number one, as women, to talk about what our life is like now. Once we realized that we were more than what just our job, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I am so excited.
Good show. Thank you. And I'm Sherry Knight. I am the president and CEO of Dimension 11, and I work with companies, work with individuals in order to help them be unstoppable, which is actually the name of my book. But being unstoppable means look at what you are doing in life and keep going. Don't let all those things stop you. Just like all the things that have come up and slapped you in the face, slapped me in the face, and went, I don't know if I can carry on from this. Of course we can. And so that's part of why we are here today, because we see things from a different perspective than many, many others. I'm going to introduce Lisa now. Lisa, welcome. So glad to have Lisa Esposito here with us. And she has brought 3 other amazing women with her. Lisa, you're on.
Thank you so much, Sherry and Barbara, for having us. It truly is a pleasure. Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon from New York. So I am the founder of Sakina's Touch, and I bring organic modalities of healing to pretty much humanity. But to narrow down that niche, and I'm so passionate about this, to narrow down the niche, really, I like to work with people that are receptive to alternative healing. I like to work with those that are tapping in and tuning into themselves and need that guidance and support to move forward in their healing journey. I truly believe that in order for our world to improve, humanity needs to improve, and that begins with the self. We need to raise our consciousness and live a life of compassion and intention. I would like to also introduce Amy, Paula, and Emily, and tell us a little bit about what you do. Let's start with Emily.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for thinking of me and bringing me in on this interview. I'm honored, and meeting Barbara and Sherry. Thank you so much for putting this together. I watched a couple of your previous podcasts, and it's just absolutely amazing what you guys are doing. So myself, what I do is I'm a certified independent Optavia coach. And what that is I help people lose weight and keep it off. I've just more recently became a personal trainer, which is something that I'm dabbling in. I haven't gotten into that realm yet, but just quick on my story. And I don't know if we're sharing stories yet or if we're sharing, but it really plays into how I became a coach. I had my own transformation journey. I lost 120 pounds on this program, and I've kept it off now. Christmas Day will be 5 years for me. So it kind of like catapulted me into this world of totally new. So I'm going to let the next person talk, and I hope I'll have more time to share about that a little bit later.
Amy, would you like to chime in?
Hi, yes. Thank you, Lisa, for inviting me onto this podcast. It's just an honor to be here with you, Barbara and Sherry. I am Amy Greene. I am a financial coach, and I help solopreneurs learn how to manage their money well, both in business and in life, so they can stabilize their cash flow and build wealth that outlives them. And so I really like working with the solopreneur who is making really good money, but the roller coaster of income, good months, bad months, or whatever, however you want to see it, we help to stabilize that so they can pay themselves a consistent salary and then use that income to build wealth.
Thank you, Amy. And Paula.
Good afternoon. My name is Paula Martino. I am a health and wellness coach. I empower individuals to overcome persistent challenges and achieve healthier, more fulfilling lives through sustainable habits and positive mindset. I too did the same program that Emily did 18 years ago. I lost 55 pounds. I was a woman that hadn't hit menopause to going to menopause, through menopause, and now I'm on the other side and I build guns. And that's what I do for a living. I am also a health and wellness coach, physical fitness instructor, and a senior fitness coach. So, yep, that's what I do.
Such an amazing group that Lisa has brought here, and you're amazing too, Lisa. So here's the thing though. What was it that actually caused us to make that leap to what we are doing? I know for me, there have been many things, and Barbara knows this, but I lost my husband a year ago. And so one of the questions I keep getting is, when are you going to retire? When are you going to stop working? And I'm thinking, wow, that year of being able to focus on business and focus on helping others, it's sort of the reverse of what we're talking about here, because it has helped me, listen to the language, helped me stay sane during all of this turmoil and change and disruption, etc., that's been going on in my life. And so that's the opposite to what we're kind of talking about today. But I've got all those history too of doing crazy things that you look at and you go, oh my gosh, this isn't working anymore. What am I going to do now? So everybody's got a story here. Barbara, I'm going to ask you for your story first.
Absolutely. Yeah, my story also started with the death of my husband. And when after he passed away, and then when I woke up from my widow's fog, which lasted a little over a year, I don't remember the first year. Anyways, but on that day that I woke up, I realized that I had no idea of who I was outside of all the labels that I had put on myself, of being a daughter, and then being a wife, and then being a mother, and then being a divorced failure, but then being a successful wife again, and being a grandmother, and being a business owner, and now I'm a widow. Who is Barbara in all of that? And it was absolutely the scariest moment of my life, because I went, what am I going to do? I was 60 years old. What am I going to do for the rest of my life? And I had no idea. Luckily, I was blessed to be introduced to a coaching program called The Ultimate Game of Life. I went, well, yeah, life is a game. You hear that all the time. So I am going to take that course. And now, all these years later, I now work with late career business professionals who are facing retirement, and they have no idea of who they are outside of their job title or their job description. Their health is probably falling apart due to the stress, and they're asking themselves, how am I going to pay to retire? How am I going to live as I retire if I don't have the corporate income? And those are the three things that we need to be happy. We need to know who we are. We need to have our health to be able to do all the things that we want that make us happy, but we also have to be able to afford to pay for it. So that's why I love what I do. And it has been such a blessing when I see the light bulb go on that says, ooh, I can do this.
And Barbara is such a ball of fire, does so many different things, learns so many different things. Some of the things I'm not even interested in learning that. Thank you very much. It's techie. I'm not the least bit. However, she's doing an amazing job with us right here. Lisa, you're up. Tell us about your story.
Wonderful. Thank you, Barbara and Sherry. So up until recently, I was a stay-at-home mom for the majority of my marriage. And when my youngest went to school full time, I felt so relieved because I was able to breathe. And one day, I just sat with myself and I was like, okay, Lisa, well, what are you going to do with your life? And that singular question just opened a massive door because so many questions just started flooding in, and I really had to look at every aspect of my life. And I realized that I needed to take back the reins of my life and bring my power back to myself because I just did not like what I saw. And then, as women, and Barbara, you said this, we just wear so many hats. It's insane. All the things that we accomplish that are not valued. So I needed to really, and what I did, and it took a lot of time and effort and tenderness as well, is to start eliminating relationships that really didn't bring value into my life and that were taking power away from me. So I went through a massive transformation, and I'm still transforming because transformation is really a sort of death, right? You have to shed parts of you that are just not working for you. You're not living the life that you fully want to live, which everybody really should live a passionate life. So a couple of things that I started to do was meditate. And I seriously reconnected back to spirit because there was a disconnect in my life. And I noticed that. So I started to meditate and reconnect back to spirit, back to my essence as a spiritual being, as the essence of that of being a woman. And I just kind of relearned a lot of parts of me and even parts that I was unaware of. There was massive healing that occurred. And to this day, it's still happening. And it's just a beautiful process. While there is much to endure, I will assure you that healing is not for the gentle heart. You have to have a fierce heart for this. But I looked at my diet. And again, I looked at the people that were around me, because sustenance is not only what you ingest, it's the people, who's around you, because you pick up on their energy, on their thought patterns if you're around them long enough. Sustenance is what you're listening to, what you're watching. So I really needed to hone in on all of this and see, okay, well, and start eliminating things that were just not working for me. And my life spiraled, and I don't know. There's just so much to say about the transformation that occurred. I'm still going through a metamorphosis. And that's such a beautiful thing to experience in this life.
I want to pick up on what you're saying there, Lisa, because, the metamorphosis in my mind, we're constantly going through a metamorphosis, one thing, then another, then another, then another, which helps us to grow and become those people that we really want to become. We all know that we're a little bit different than we were as children, but that's because of that growth that you're mentioning. I love it.
Absolutely. And I think that people should really invest more time in themselves and discover themselves, because people don't really know. People are just like avatars, right? And they're just like walking, in life, living a routine and not really discovering themselves, learning like what their passions are. So I really urge people to tap in and tune in and truly discover who you are, because there's just so much to learn about yourselves. Yeah. Thank you, Sherry, for acknowledging that. Yes. Amy, would you like to chime in here?
Sure. So I totally can understand, Lisa. Like, I feel like a lot of people are asleep to themselves, and I hear that term a lot, and they're just asleep, and they're kind of sleepwalking through life and going through the motions. So kudos to you for going through the transformation in your own life and helping others do the same. I think that's just beautiful. And I think for most of us, since we're mostly coaches, that's what we do, right? Is we help people transform. And my story of getting to become a coach really started when we took control of our money. And going back to 2015, my husband and I decided to get out of debt. And in just 24 months, we got on a plan and we actually paid off $245,000 in debt. Halfway through that time, though, I lost my job, which was a blessing, of course, but I just, you're in all the feels, and it was scary, and I didn't know what to do. And my oldest was only 2, and it was a lot of things. And so I'm now catapulted to being a stay-at-home mom, which is not anything I ever wanted to become. And so, but being in this journey and paying off debt and being able to live and to decide that I don't need to go back to work, even though we lost a good chunk of our income with me not working, it was possible. And so I get to help people do the same exact thing. And for many years, I helped individuals and couples take control of their money. And now I focus on solopreneurs, because so many people are solopreneurs. You think of the real estate agent, the personal trainers, you think of coaches, you think of anyone who's a 1099, and helping them to manage their revenues in a way that makes sense, because so many people have, it's combined with business and personal, and they get big months and then they pay off a bunch of debt, and then the next month they're like, oh no. So they use credit cards to survive. And so I help them to even that out and to make a plan to get to a place where they can make a lot of money, but then also keep a lot of money and use it to reach their financial goals. And so it's a beautiful thing to help people build wealth in a way that is more than they ever thought possible, but also in a very simple way, right? It doesn't take a lot to make the changes.
Amy, I have a question, because you mentioned 1089. I'm from Canada. I've never heard the term. What does it mean for those of us who aren't in the States?
Yeah, so a 1099 is really a contract employee. So you're working for a company, but on a contract basis. So they just pay you a set amount. You now have to set aside money for taxes and all of that. You're not technically a full-time employee with the company. You're not receiving benefits. They're not paying your payroll taxes for you. You have to do that yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, of course.
Amy, you just said a very important word, and it really, like, my antennas really picked up on that word, is fear. And a lot of people work out of fear, live in a fear state, in a fear-based energy. And what fear does is that it keeps you in your comfort zone. It keeps you in that nice, safe bubble, and it won't allow you to transform. It won't allow you to grow, whether spiritually, emotionally. However, you just can't evolve as a person. And so, I just really need to dish that out there to whoever's watching, that fear is not going to put you in a good place. It'll keep you in a nice, comfortable place, but you cannot grow there. You really cannot grow. Yeah.
And I see it too with people who are afraid to look at their numbers, their financial numbers. They're afraid. They take the bills in the mail and they just shove them in a drawer, and they don't want to look at it. They don't want to see it. They don't want because they're so afraid, and they have such negative energies around paying bills. But if we can flip that and be like, I'm so grateful I can pay my light bill. I'm so grateful I can pay this medical bill, and turn it around. I mean, it just changes everything, but we can't change what we don't know about. So if we're not looking at our numbers, we don't have any clue of what's happening. We're just scared of the monster in the closet. We have to open the closet and shine the light so that we can take away the fear, because there really is no monster. And so usually when a client starts to look at their numbers, they see that it's not as bad as they thought. And then we can start to make changes, or we say, okay, we're going to push that aside. We're going to work on one thing, and we work on one thing. And then it starts to alleviate the fear as we go. Thank you for catching on that, Lisa.
Absolutely, Amy. Absolutely. Fear lives in the brain, ladies and gentlemen. That's all in the brain. That's the egoic self. Paula, would you like to share a little bit about you?
Absolutely. If I could find the mute button, that would be most helpful. Gosh, I just want to piggyback on that fear for a moment, because what they say, fear is false evidence appearing real. And it's what our mother, father, teacher, preacher might have kind of instilled in us along the way, that we have to kind of unravel sometimes, a lot of times. And as women in business, I find that women like to help women. where Emily and I are in a wonderful women's empowerment group, morning coffee group, and we meet, and it is wonderful. And I just love that kind of energy. And I think when I walk in that room, there is no fear. So, but false evidence appearing real, which is very, very true. So a little bit about me. My goodness, I have, honestly, I'll tell you my age. I'm proud of it, actually. I'm 64. I have had many metamorphoses along the way, and I've had many careers along the way, and they've all led me, and each one of them, since I got out of college, has been being an entrepreneur. I worked for IBM as an engineer, but I had my own business on the side. And I was an engineer on the side, and I did side work, and I was a 1099. I did, and then from being an engineer, I was a stay-at-home mom. And then from there, I went into building my own billing and consulting business for chiropractors and medical doctors around the country. And I had 11 employees, and I had a business partner. And I did that for a decade. And then I sold that, and now I'm on this decade. And this is probably my best decade. Absolutely. I did lose my weight loss almost 2 decades ago now. And as a matter of fact, me becoming a coach, this is my anniversary month. And in 6 days, it'll be 18 years ago that I pulled the trigger and decided to become a coach. Best thing I've ever done. I have paid it forward. Thank you very much. Yes, I've paid it forward and met beautiful people like Emily. And I have had the ability, and I have had the grace given to me to be able to watch people like Emily transform. And it's amazing, absolutely amazing. My transformation is not as drastic, if you will, as Emily's transformation was, but she totally amazing transformation. But I will tell you, in my way, it was drastic because I'm a small woman and I have a small frame, and I was carrying a lot of extra weight around. And I didn't realize how sick and tired I really was until I didn't have that weight any longer. And then all of a sudden I was like, how did I do it? And I decided to pay it forward for very selfish reasons, truthfully, because I knew that it was going to be the number one way for me to keep my feet close to the fire. And I knew that if I was coaching other people on how I lost my weight and how I got healthy, that I wouldn't want to put my weight back on because I was transforming, continuously transforming. And I will tell you, it's a blessing to be involved with Optavia because we are really more than just the after. We really are the after of the after. And as you start to see the coaches come out of the woodworks that are like myself and Emily, the after of the after, it is amazing. And the personal growth that they give us is unmatching. So that is basically me. I have morphed decades. It seems like each decade I change. It's funny because, and now I'm in this decade. I got divorced. Yay me. That was my, the biggest source of freedom for me. And I have met my true love. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
And what a story that is, Paula. Thank you so much for sharing that and for all of your wonderful achievements. And congratulations on your anniversary for yourself coming up. That I just love seeing growth and just hearing people's stories. And when you first started talking, Paula, you were pretty much talking about social conditioning, which goes back into so many generations long. And that's what keeps humanity in this hamster wheel, if you may, in the rat race, is social conditioning. So I think that we each in our own ways have to kind of be the black sheep and make people uncomfortable and spike up their antennas and bring curiosity into their life and say, listen, this really isn't working. Is this really the life that you kind of want to live? You know, you have to really make people think and nudge them a little bit. And I think that each and every one of us is doing that in our very own ways. Thank you so much, Paula. Emily, you're up, my dear.
Wow. I have a couple tough acts to follow here. A lot of great people that I have been, involved with in this journey. And just listening to you ladies, all I'm hearing is growth and moving forward and getting better and moving on and metamorphosis and all the wonderful things. And there was Barbara who mentioned earlier about being like in a fog. So that's where I came from. Someone, I forget who it was, that mentioned where we began. Like, I came from a very large family. I'm the youngest of 10 kids. I'm the youngest daughter. So that's how small I was in my, upbringing. I was, you're good. You're the good one. You're okay. You can just move along. Right. So that's where I came from. Right. And I went from my parents' house to my husband's house. And then I became the wife, and then I became the mother to 3 daughters. So I was, again, put aside to, you're just the mom now. You've got 3 beautiful daughters to raise. And, so going through this process of then raising my daughters, and then, oh my gosh, these girls are expensive. I got to go to work. Right. So then I started a job, which was, a couple little jobs in between I had, which were great opportunities. But then I had a really great opportunity to work in my town. In a financial firm. So I had that, and it was wonderful to have that for nearly 17 years. And I worked as a branch office administrator. So I had all these titles, right? Like you said, the mom, the wife, the daughter, all the titles. And I was like, I didn't know who I was. And I didn't have an identity. I was Emily, but I was Emily for everyone else. Right. And then when I came to a point in my life where I started losing people around me due to health reasons, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 44 years old and I'm over 300 pounds. I need to figure something out. And so I went to a doctor's appointment. The doctor said, yeah, you really need to figure things out, because otherwise you're not going to be in really great shape in the next 10 years or so. So there was my journey. I began on a health journey. And even though I tried my whole life to lose weight, I mean, from the age of 7, I had I was a chubby kid. My mom had to have my sister make my dresses for me because she couldn't find them in Sears. They weren't available in my size. So anyway, coming to this point of now I got to get my health really in order. By miracle, I found an acquaintance mom of mine in town who told me about this program. And I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I don't even care what it is. Sign me up. And then that was when my journey really began to become this person who I'm a totally different person than I was 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I was the woman for everyone else but myself. But then I began to realize I began to become consciously aware of my own existence, and who I can become through this program, through my coaching, through meeting wonderful people like Paula as a mentor. I've had her by my side through this process, and it's just been absolutely amazing. And now here I am meeting amazing women like you. And I never in a million years dreamed I would ever be in this seat right now in this moment in time, having this conversation. Because 6 years ago, I was a sweaty, angry, cranky, exhausted mom, wife mess, but here I am now, having had this transformation of my own, losing over a whole person. I mean, I lost Paula practically, and I am now here, able to awaken other people to their own possibility. And that to me is the biggest gift that I have gotten from this coaching. Like, yeah, the coaching is great for me. It helps. It keeps me accountable. Absolutely. I thank my clients every single day, because if I didn't have them, I'd be eating cookies probably. Right. And so having that, and just knowing that I battled this my whole entire life, and I found something that worked, I can't shut up about it. And all I want to do is share it with people, because I tell you what, it is possible. You can change yourself, and it doesn't have to be a total physical transformation. It could be a personal transformation, which is another thing that's Paula mentioned that we get through this program. It's not just a weight loss program. It is a total personal development program. And I didn't know that when I ate my first bar. I was like, ugh, do I have to eat these for the rest of my life? That was my initial come to this program. And here I am 6 years later, like, yeah, I never want to not eat the bars and never want to not follow the program, because I am just a totally different person. I kind of went completely off course of what I wanted to say, but like we said earlier, we're just going to go with it and just go with the flow. And you ladies have made me feel so comfortable, and I really, really appreciate it. And my message is, I want to help people, as many people as I can. Like, I want to impact the world in a measurable way. So, that is my goal as a coach, and I'm going to continue to share it. I'm getting braver and braver in sharing it. I shared with Paula earlier today that I've been doing that, and I'm just going to continue to do so. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you all. That's such fabulous stories. We all have the history that makes us who we are today. So I have another question though for you. And that is, can you share one thing that might help the individuals who are listening today, who want to make adjustments in their lives, who want to be able to look at themselves and go, aha, this is what I am going to do for me? Lisa, you want to start?
Sure, of course. Thank you, Sherry. I think that to make a significant change in your life, we really need to introspect. We need to be able to tap in to our souls, to our spirit, and discover parts of ourselves. And, there is no right or wrong way for meditating.
And that's the thing. Can you give us one hint about how we can do that if we don't know how?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you start in increments, because to sit in meditation for 5 minutes can be too long for some people, and I totally get it. So what what people would like to do is to find a quiet time during the day and make the firm intention to connect with your heart space, because that's where the true you resides. And that's where source resides, in your heart, in your spiritual heart. And follow your breath. Follow your breath. And when your mind decides to go into monkey mode, acknowledge the thoughts that are coming through. It's okay. We're meant to feel, we're meant to hear, we're meant to see. If we have these external forces outside of us, such as birds chirping or cars parking or cars driving, it's okay. That is something that is out of our control. And the only things that are in our control is really ourselves. Mm-hmm. So acknowledge those external forces, acknowledge the thoughts coming in through your mind, but recalibrate back at breath. Always come back to breath. And you're going to discover so many amazing things about yourself, about spirit, about your world. So if anything, begin with meditating. That's where I believe people need to start, with meditating.
Very good. And the explanation helps, because many people have no clue about what it means. So thank you.
You're welcome, Sherry. You're welcome. Yeah. Don't think that you have to hold a hand position known as mudras, or listen to certain music, or, while it helps, or sit in a certain position. Not at all. You could lie down if you like. And if you fall asleep, well, then your body needs it. Paula, would you mind sharing a piece of advice?
Oh, goodness, yes. If I were to tell somebody on this podcast that were listening right now, what's one thing that they could do? Or one, I'm going to recommend a book, because I think this book really is the baseline for a lot of things and a lot of people. And it's called The Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I really feel that reading that book, and if you want to read it and then get it auditorily, he's wonderful when he reads it. I listened to it, and I also got to see him this summer. And it's not a plug for James, I promise, but the book is a game changer if you start to slowly implement. The things that I tell my clients is, we don't have to go from the one side of the Grand Canyon to the other in one jump. It's small incremental changes, 1%. So I say, are you part of the 1% club? Because 1% every day over time is enormous and really becomes immeasurable. So that's my advice. Get the book Atomic Habits and just try to improve. Pick one thing. Just work one thing at a time. And pick your smallest goal. Like I tell my clients, you want to do push-ups on the ground or you want to do sit-ups. Start one. Make a commitment. I'm going to do one sit-up every single day. On my worst days, I'll do one. On my best days, I might do more. But 1%, one. That's what I leave you with.
Thank you, Paula. Change does come in increments, and as long as we're consistent, we're going to see the results. And Emily, would you like to give some advice?
Yeah, I mean, what Paula said, just 1% better every day is really taking the baby step approach. Do not feel like that you need to do everything at once, right? It's all about progress over perfection. There's no perfect day. Nobody has a perfect day. And when you come to terms with that and realize, okay, guess what? I don't have to be perfect. Really? You can just progress forward and move forward. Take one step at a time. And as long as you're always looking forward, not behind you, you're just gonna move in that direction. So always look forward, always move forward, and know that it does not have to be perfect. And if you feel like your day, didn't go perfectly well or it didn't go as planned, guess what? You get to go to sleep and wake up the next day and have a brand new day. So that's what I always tell my clients. Listen, you didn't, what's the analogy? If you had a flat tire on the highway, do you pull over and slash off 3 other tires, or you get that tire fixed, right? You get the tire fixed and you keep moving forward.
Perfect. Thank you, Emily. Yes, when we hold expectations as to what we should receive, that oftentimes can lead us into despair, right? Because we're not getting what we pictured. But lo and behold, we do receive the things that we need. Maybe not what we want, but we do receive what we need. Thank you so much, Emily. And Amy, would you care to share?
Yes, of course. I think for me, I just love everything you both have said. Paula and Emily, just the Atomic Habits book is one of my top recommendations too. And then I always say that the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror, so we have to always look forward. But my biggest piece of advice would be for people to really get clear as to what they want. So since I work in the money space, a lot of people feel that they can't have certain things. They can't have the vacation home or take lots of vacations or pay for kids' college or whatever those dreams might be. But I think it's really important to get very, very clear, crystal clear as to what you want. And I'm a big fan of journaling. So writing down all the things that you want in life, and that, yes, they're going to take money, but maybe you want to start a business or help your aging parents, or you want to be able to sustain retirement for yourself and do the things you want to do. Being very, very clear as to what that looks like for you is so important. And I want to challenge you to go above and beyond what you think is possible, because like we've talked about before in social conditioning, I think a lot of us just want to be comfortable. And I'm like, well, that's just a pair of sweatpants on the couch. That's not, we can go beyond that, and we can build wealth that outlives us. And it does seem kind of like, wow, that's wild and crazy. You must be like Elon Musk. I'm like, no, it doesn't take that much. And so we really have to get very clear as to what we want and what would it look like, and then feel into the feeling of actually having it. And so just spending some time, I like to meditate with those feelings of like, what do I want my life to look like, and just what does it feel like to already have it. So that would be my takeaway for anyone listening today.
Thank you. Amazing. I'm going to ask Barb now. We haven't heard from you.
I think one of the things that I really try to have people do is, number one, it starts with forgive yourself for where you are. We've all made decisions that were less than stellar, and we've all made great decisions. So just forgive yourself for where you are, and then celebrate those good decisions. Celebrate, oh, that was a good decision. Okay, that one wasn't so good, but this one was good. And then the third step is to commit to changing one thing. I loved what all of you said. It's one step at a time. And I don't care if it's how small a baby step that is. Do one push-up. Do one phone call if it's a business. Do one thing.
Yeah.
And make sure it's something that makes your heart sing.
Beautiful.
That gives you joy.
Thank you, Barb. And the one thing that I would say is, and I'm picking up on what Amy said, I believe in vision boards. And it doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be a piece of paper. Like many, many years ago, before I met my husband, I decided that it was time to have somebody in my life. And I took an 8.5 by 11 piece of white paper, drew a stick man, because that's my artistic ability, and then just put the words around of what I needed. I never, ever found that page. I folded it up, put it away. To this day, 35 years later, never found it. And yet that man that walked into my life was perfect according to all the things that I was looking for. So it is possible. So this has been amazing. We're about to close down. So last words from everyone.
Who's going to go first?
There's no better gift than the gift of yourself. And I think that every single one of us has discovered that to a certain extent. And really, once you decide to embark on the journey, on the healing journey or the hero's journey, it's perpetual. And it everyone is saying to move forward in increments. Yes, that holds some truth, but you also have to be aware that healing is not linear. Right. And just like you said, Barbara, we must forgive ourselves because we did not know any better back then. So we know what we know now because we've made the intention to grow in whatever aspect, but we have done that. So now we can reflect back and say, okay, I forgive this part of myself, and we have to learn how to be tender with ourselves.
Very good.
So true. So true.
Thank you, Barbara. Yes. I got a little passionate there.
We're allowed.
I think you said my name in that laughter.
Yes,
did you?
Paula, yes.
I'm like, I think she said my name. What's the one thing I can leave you with today? You can do it. Whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. You know how I know that? Because I did, and so did all the ladies in this room.
Perfect. Thank you, Paula.
And one of the things that I want to say, just as you're seeing the banners come across the bottom of the screen, for those of you listening, I would really encourage you to reach out. If something that one of these great ladies has said has resonated with you, reach out to them. That's why we put the banners across.
Thank you, Barbara. Emily, would you care to share?
Absolutely. So one thing that always comes to mind is something that I learned through one of our biggest mentors in our Optavia program, the great Dr. Wayne Anderson. He taught me that I have the power to become the dominant force in my life. When I found that out, I was like, what? I can do that? And I took that and I ran with it. I just did. I completely ran with it. And here I am. So what I want to say to you is create a life of your own that matters most to you. Whatever that looks like for you, everybody's different. Everybody has their own journey. So work on creating what matters most to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emily. Amy?
Yeah. So my piece of advice would be that you were made for more, that we were all made for more, and that what you want wants you back. So if you want to make 6 figures in your business, or you want to make $1 million in your business, or you want to be the first in your family to get out of debt, or the first one to become a millionaire, or whatever the dream is, it's possible because what you want wants you back. And that dream was put in your heart for a reason. So a lot of life takes money, and I'm here to help people get to that point where they have the money to live the life they want. But dream, you can have whatever it is that you desire.
Wow, so true. Everybody's saying things that are easy to implement and get started right now. Barb, what's yours?
Just start. Just start. It's make the decision that you are going to change your life. Just start. And biggest thing, don't listen to somebody else's version of you.
Yes.
I realized a few years ago that I had spent the first 60 years of my life living through somebody else's lens,
Mm.
not mine. Not mine. And that is so important. So important.
Thank you, Barbara. It's something that we need to all remember. My little piece of advice for people, just one little thing, is each day, make sure that you respond to yourself with gratitude for something that's gone on that day or will go on that day that you are so happy with. Because the brain does, let's face it, that brain thinks of the negatives first and the positives later. So let's switch that around for ourselves. One positive thing. So, folks, it's been wonderful to have all of you. You have been so insightful in terms of bringing your stories out to help everybody else that's listening. This Beyond the Briefcase is something Barbara and I love to do. We have fun. I hope you had fun today. Thank you for being with us. And for those of you who are looking forward, I've got my calendar here, the 17th of January is our next session, and we will have Sarah Karen with us. 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. We look forward to seeing you. Have a wonderful day. Make sure that you enjoy it. Bye-bye for now.
Yeah. And one other little thing, that if you would like to be a host and do this with us, reach out to Sherry. The calendar is on the screen right now. Reach out and tell us, hey, that sounds like fun. Come and join us and have some fun with us and change a life. All right, everybody, have a great day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.